Just your overall thoughts on the road trip, the two-point losses, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Disappointed. I mean, anytime you go and you give yourself a chance to win, you want to come back with a victory, and to lose by two twice. You don't get, only thing close works for is what they say, horseshoes and hand grenades, and we got two losses out of playing close. I think, offensively, you could say we didn't play as well as we need to, but I think really as a possession defensively here and there, and definitely was rebounding. We got stops at Kennesaw, and we didn't get the offensive rebound, which they capitalized on. And then we had a couple run-out transitions that we would score, and they would run it down our throat. We weren't back. We were jogging back, and they were sprinting back, and that comes with us just being locked in for 40 minutes. And then the same thing with Jacksonville. I thought that we got some good stops at some times, but on the second chance points they got hurt us a lot. And on the offensive end in that game, I don't think we utilized Bacho enough. I thought we needed to. We made an effort to do it at Kennesaw, and I thought it helped us offensively, but just defensively got to be better.
Jordan and Al, what's the latest on them?
I'm trying to figure it out. They practiced yesterday, both of them, and so we're going to assume that they're a go. Until I'm told otherwise, I'm being told that they can practice and work on return to play, but I just won't know until they let me know.
Again, I know it comes in a losing effort, but I was telling him before we started, it feels like, it's only 5 minutes at a time, but when A.J. Bates comes in, it feels like good things usually happen for this group.
It's been up and down. So before Christmas, he was dynamic. He finished off Christmas break in a great way. I thought he came back, the freshman, he started off the year. And then I think he just got it back. I hope that that's the consistency that we need. I think the break hurt the freshman more than it hurt anybody. But yeah, if we can get that A.J. Bates consistently, it adds so much depth to our program. In more ways than one, it gets Sean and Mo rest, which they need as hard as they're playing defensively, and hopefully can give them rest so that they can have legs late in the game to hit jump shots and things of that nature. But he was dynamic in the Kennesaw game. I felt like in the Jacksonville game, it was a little physical for him, and then he had a closeout. There was a scouting report deal that he just blew on completely, and maybe I didn't have enough trust that he could regroup from that, being that I hadn't seen it since Christmas. But then when I put him in Kennesaw, it built a lot of trust in me with him.
You mentioned Amari. I know defensively that's what he takes the most pride in, but he's shooting close to 30% from the field in league play. The efficiency, I guess, piece for him, what do you feel like has been the key for not getting that?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I think he has to just be more patient with the shots that he gets. Every kid like him doesn't get to play with the leading assist guy in the country. They just don't. He'll learn that if he just is in the right place a lot of times, Sean Newman will find him, especially with Bacho on the floor, because Bacho's going to get the attention. And sometimes you can be great just by being unnoticed. And I think if he just lets the game come to him, slows down, takes the shots that are given to him, and doesn't try to force the issue, I think he'll be fine.
You mentioned bounce back. I thought, obviously Devin, rough Jacksonville State game, and then obviously Kennesaw, makes a couple big shots for you guys. Just what do you need from him, especially in league play? Obviously, we know what Will Jeffers could provide, but obviously rebounding, shot making, it feels like Devin's kind of that role that needs to fill in.
You just said the greatest word ever, Will Jefferson. But
Story's coming out tomorrow.
Oh, wow, cool. Devin was up and down this road trip, and I always say this: if you ever listen to the greatest ones, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe's, some of the greatest coaches, Kelvin Sampson, the Bill Selfs, and they'll tell you that your confidence comes from the work you put in. And I got to challenge Devin to put work in, because consistently comes from being good at your work habits and your work ethic, and your confidence comes from being good at your work ethic. Guys like the greatest shooters like Steph Curry, he's not a great shooter because he walks in the gym. He's a great shooter because he has the confidence, because he puts the work in to be a great shooter. And I think Devin needs to continue to grow in that area and put the work in, because he's a talented kid. And he does have the ability to shoot the ball. But there's inconsistency when there's lack of work consistency. And it's not practice work consistency, it's off the court. But I think he's growing in that area. And as you can see, he's been a lot better and more consistent since conference play started and being a better player. I think he does help us in a lot of ways, and I'm just looking forward to the best version of him being the best version of himself.
We all know Will Jefferson's been out for the season. We'll say his name again, but you've had injuries to a lot of other guys throughout the year, whether it's, this past week with Al Green being out, both Elk's been out, Devin was out a game or two, Jay Craw's been out. So, like, how difficult and how challenging has it been for you as a coaching staff to have different guys out at different times and even at different positions?
It's been very difficult because you plan your scheme and your system and your defensive concepts behind who you have, and they're changing all the time. And it's hard to get good at something when the barometer is moving. Devin is capable of doing things that Al can't do for sheer height purposes. So defensively, when they're in the game, they got to do different things. And so we're playing lineups that we have no consistency in lineups that we played, and that has hurt us. But at the end of the day, I think if we can keep growing in the area, I think some of those 2-point losses come to 2-point wins. It's been a rough year with injuries, but you can't control those things, and I want to really focus on how we can control our controllables. And if we can do that and protect our home court, we just give ourselves a chance, and that's all you can ask for.
Ben?
How'd you like the lineup with Elkington playing next to Bacho? I know we haven't seen a whole lot of that throughout the year.
You know what? I'm trying to like it. Offensively, we're okay, but defensively, we're not as good with that lineup in. Just having two big bodies in there in a league that has 4 men that stretch to the perimeter. So for the novice or the non-basketball person who, if I can explain that to him, it's like having Bacho and Elk guard Isaiah Crawford. Like, one of them's going to have a tough matchup, and our league is full of guys that are 4 men like Zach Cleveland, Isaiah Crawfords, Otis Frazier, that are perimeter-oriented guys, and we're asking our big guys to go out and guard them on a perimeter. And it might not even be their scoring that takes a hit. It might be their ball screen coverage or something of that nature, driving fouls. And so it's been me being a defensive guy, it's hard for me to think that I could use that more when we haven't been great defensively in that lineup. But offensively, it allows us to do things. So I think it might be a sparing thing where maybe we need an offensive possession, offensive or defensive. But we just have to have guys like Devin and Caden step up and be able to man that position.
Offensively, when you guys have struggled at times, do you feel like at times the guys are looking towards Sean to maybe create a little bit too often?
You know what's so crazy? This is going to sound really crazy. By the numbers on KenPom, we're a way better offensive team this year than we were last year. I think in games, you're always going to have struggle. It's a game of runs. I think that we just have to be patient, let it come to us. Like, we played over 1 point per possession in the last 2 games. The problem was our defense. We gave up 1 point per possession in both games, and you can't win games like that. We're nowhere near efficiency, the defensive team that we were last year. It's not close. We were 69 in the country on KenPom. Right now, we're like 172. Is that a lot when it comes to point per possession? Those things? No, it's probably, half a point per possession. Then you jump, 50 teams in the country. But I think that has a lot to do with a lot of things. Again, injuries, have playing 2 bigs at some points. It has something to do with defensive rebounding, losing a guy that, consistently can help you rebound. So now teams are getting double shots on one possession, and it hurts your defense. And so when you can't get stops and you can't, limit people to one shot and out and get rebounds, when you struggle to guard perimeter guys on the perimeter because maybe you're too big, or even when you can't get a rebound because your 4 men are not the typical size of what your 4 man is. All those things equate to a couple losses, I think, and so we got to keep working. I don't want to be the guy that says injuries an excuse, because, like I say, I want to have a next man up mentality, but we got to keep growing in that area where we can learn to win through adversity, and that takes maturity as a team, and that's something we're growing towards.
3 straight at home. I know that's got to sound good. Just starting with Western Kentucky, what have you seen from them on film? What's going to be the challenge on Thursday?
Very similar to last year. They're number 1 in the country in pace, like in their pace of play. They fluctuate between 1 and 4, so that tells you it might be a possession or 2 a game that goes from 1 to 4. So they're going to try to get the ball out and move a lot like Kennesaw did. Kennesaw's like top 15 or something in the country in pace, and they want to get the ball down. So we got to get back in transition, and be able to stop them in transition. Another thing is that they have a lot of guys that can get to the rim and make threes. I think where they're different is they're not as big and bulky on the inside as they were last year. And so they become, again, hard to guard because, you got big guys and you're going to be stretching them and trying to pull them to the perimeter. And so if we can play inside-out basketball, if we can guard and keep the ball in front of us and make the threes that they shoot hard and contest it and rebound the basketball on their first miss, they rebound the ball okay, but rebound the first miss, I think we give ourselves a chance to win. And then just play with the fire that we played at home all year. I think if we do that, we take it a game at a time, we can win some basketball games.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.